Let's start off by drawing a really simple class diagram for our hypothetical library system. Well, let's suppose that we're going to need classes to represent books and copies of books. The idea being that if we have 17 copies of War and Peace, we're going to have one book object that represents that concept, being War and Peace, and 17 copy objects. I'm drawing these big because I'm going to want to put attributes and associations in them later. So we have our rectangles, each representing a class, and each labelled with the singular capitalised name of that class. These two classes have something to do with one another. They're going to be linked by an association. We could give the association name, like there's a copy of. In this case it doesn't really add very much because it's kind of obvious. That little triangle there, by the way, is just saying read this association name in that direction, because by default we'd read from left to right. One more thing I want to put on here is multiplicities. Okay, we've got some book objects and we've got some copy objects, but how many of each have we got that are linked? Well, if you pick one copy object, it's going to be a copy of exactly one book. And we represent that like that by putting a 1 at the book end of the association. Given a book object, how many copy objects could it be linked to? Well, we've said we might have 17 copies of War and Peace, so if we take the book object that represents War and Peace, there might be 17 copy objects. There could actually be any number. Let's say 0, dot, dot, star. I don't know why UML uses 2 dots instead of 3, but it does. Notice I've made a decision here. I've decided that I'm going to permit a book object in the system with 0 copy objects linked to it. Now maybe that might be useful in the case that we're talking about a reservation of a book that this library doesn't hold any copies of or what have you. It's the kind of thing that we might well find out more about later in the system design.